First of all, thank you for your time. And it is the time, the most precious gift we can give to one another. And through my entire life, I've gone through stages in my life where I almost lost my life, and there was no hope for me to even be here and able to share my story. I've gone through civil war. So what we currently see in Syria, I've experienced that with my own eyes, and not just in Syria, but globally. I've gone through being homeless in the streets of London and admiring people just having the most basic things about themselves: a friend, a country, an identity, a language they can communicate, and a place to call home. Then I went through 10 years of almost working 18 hours every single day to bring myself back to balance, and balance across all areas of my life, starting from even purchasing my first home and having a place to call home, and having a security, and having a shower, and having clean clothes and food, and nurturing myself and coping with the emotional baggage that happened from a very young childhood, including being put in the wrong place at the wrong time during the Civil War. As a teenager, being able to face something that is only shadow, I would say the darkest place rather than sort of shadow. Somewhere where you see terror, abuse, murdering, sniperists, and people killing one another. And going through the education system in UK and working very hard, I came to understand, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I in England? Why am I on this planet? And why am I put in this position now, where I'm today, to help people globally, not just in UK, not just in former Yugoslavia, in Macedonia, not just with leaders, but with every child on the planet and every human being. Because unless we collectively connect together and work from those conscious and subconscious and awareness and deeper work that is required for us to stabilize our inner being and balance our inner being, we can never make the change that all of us in our hearts in here believe we can do. And one thing I share with all of the leaders that I work, and wherever I work, whomever I work with, it's one thing that connects us all on the planet. One thing. Anybody knows what's that? Love. Absolutely love. We can sit in here and share our minds and become very mindful. Mindfulness will not get us anywhere. Will give us some way of being able to become leaders, mindful within the corporation. We can sit in here and become emotional about events and about people and about anybody who comes into our life. The decision will be clouded by those emotions or by the mind. But one thing every human being on this planet wants and has to give is love. As we connect ourselves to that inner love and self-love and self-worthiness, we are able to share globally a clear vision of our own uniqueness in the process of who we become as we go through that inner journey. And today's leaders face tremendous challenges. And the leaders of yesterday's, for sure, they don't have the challenges of the leaders of today and tomorrow. And it's appalling to see what's happening globally with Islamophobia, with the war in Syria, with America, with Donald Trump, who believes that every single Muslim should be tagged and banned from America. That is in our responsibility as a collective consciousness to walk away from that kind of way of thinking, but stepping into our hearts and actually go back into the root problem. Why is it that we're actually creating the problem in the first place? Because we are all contributing to that war right here, right now. And I posted a video online about the terror is the terror we have inside of ourselves. So any terrorism that happens in the world It's because our collective consciousness is in that place. So for us to raise our awareness, it requires that inner work that each one of you most likely are in your own journey. That's why we're sitting in this beautiful circle, to be able to share, to be able to really go through those levels of mastery within the self, to really truly unleash the intelligence that comes from a very basic cell that created us all. And if we're going to bomb our planet, we are bombing our hearts. And unless we collectively raise our vibration and raise our consciousness and be able to bring this work in every single organization, in every single sphere of our lives, we are fighting a war. We are not being in our hearts. And I am very privileged to work with a lot of people and a lot of leaders who are approaching me for this deep kind of work, because they know they have a bigger mission. That's what they put there in their jobs to do. But also I'm very aware that the corporate world is almost starting to awaken to spiritual awareness and spiritual leadership. And they might call it in very different terms, mindfulness or emotional intelligence, all of that. But each one of us in here, there's a being living inside of you. And that being is both a very powerful creator, but also it's a destroyer. Each one of you here is a murderer, and each one of you is a creator of life. And unless we bring those shadows and the light in perfect harmony within ourselves, then we can actually consciously raise up, and whatever leadership role we take, you could be a leader being a mom at home and raising conscious children. You could be a leader in a global organization where basically you take the organization through this process and bring purpose-led transformation, that I'm working there with my client, Michaela, bringing that at EY, and work with bigger organizations like that. When we step into ourselves and we start trusting that inner intelligence, there's no more fear. We acknowledge the fear as the fuel for trust. And we acknowledge fear as something that can bring us at much higher levels of awareness, where basically we do not limit one another, and we do not see one another as threat, but we see one another as pure love. And we see one another as a mirror of who we are. So any human being who comes in my awareness, I just absorb fully their intelligence. And each one of us in here radiates. And some of you who may have gone through any form of healing will know probably what I'm talking about. But also, even if you don't know, we are energy beings. Now, corporate world, until recently, they would step away from that. But now they're more acknowledging the energy within the corporate world that can be created in teams, in management, in leadership, in every level of organization. You can walk in the organization and you can see a wall, bang. Or you can see a very friendly environment that really inspires you the moment you walk in. So people can sense that immediately where you work in the organization. But the role of actually the inner work that we need to go in ourselves is the most important part and the best investment you can do in yourselves. So going through that trauma that I had endured since a very young age, I invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of commitment, both in money and time, to really step and rise up into my own power from within, of actually understanding what is it that my spirit is here to do. And my spirit here to do is literally go and globally work with global leaders, and where there's a conflict, bring peace. Because we can collectively agree in here that no mind on the planet can agree on everything. And no emotion will ever agree with everything. But if we unite in love, we can create tremendous shifts on the planet. And if we do that both at the level of leadership and at the level of education, at a very young age, within 10 years we can collapse that. And we can create tremendous transformation in every single country. So wherever I speak and wherever I work with, I stress out the importance of any human being, no matter what job you have. When you honor that in yourself, you honor that in every human being who's around you. And the greatest killer that stops us from that is duality of our nature that we earlier on discussed in here. And also the way we've been programmed and constantly are being programmed in that duality to judge. And judgment is the greatest killer of the heart. I hear a lot of people online and on social media, they talk about love, but yet they start straight away by judging. So, and they always ask me, where do you see the love in the war? And this is the greatest challenge for most people, to be able to see love in the midst of adversity. It's very easy for us to agree when things are up, and we feel amazing where we are, whether it's financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, love-wise. But how do you handle yourself in the midst of adversity? And it is my recent talk I did at the Yes group. It's about how to really align ourselves and how to become extremely mindful and also heartful when adversity hits us. Because this is where we bring our darkness and our shadow. And any person who comes into your reality is that perfect mirror that can help you grow through that process within the self and be able to reflect back. And for my clients in here who are here, they know I use a very simple method. I use this method constantly with myself and with every person who comes near me. So anything that comes positive or negative, I press those three fingers back and I look within myself, how am I creating this reality? Because having studied engineering and quantum physics and science, but in parallel to that spirituality and studying the Eastern methodologies of natural healing of the body and mind, I came to the awareness saying, what is it I can create to really help every human being, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, status, it does not matter. And whether they're going through any spiritual work or mental work, emotional intelligence work, or health challenges or relationship challenges. Now, with this perfect design that each human being is created, we are given so many tools. And we're not taught that at a young age. We start to discover them after we go through a lot of adversity. Now, having worked in the corporate world and leading multi-million, multi-billion pound programs, I realized how people are not being harnessed in a way that can truly exercise their potential and the intelligence that is in every single person. But there's a limit, and there's job roles, and there's boxes that we put people, and there's way of thinking and doing and all of that. So because of my work that I've done in the background on emotional intelligence and working with some of the top teachers on the planet privately, I was able to bring that in every single IT project and program to be able to deliver everything on time, but also touch people's hearts. Now, when I left the corporate world in 2009, I actually was made redundant. And it was that awakening within myself that I was still asleep. And most of us, we go through those stages where we are asleep until something awakens us. And usually it will be some deeper pain that we experience or any life experience that comes to us, that suddenly we say, okay, time to wake up. And some people make it, other people don't make it, because I've heard many cases where people go and commit suicide. But when that moment came into my personal life, I wanted to integrate the entire wisdom that I have worked for almost 40 years to bring this awareness within the self, but also with every human being that I worked. And what I know with that intelligence that each human being on the planet has, there's also the tools in that intelligence. So I created a unique methodology that I now teach all my clients, and I'm taking that globally now, with an acronym ALARM. And the ALARM stands for Acknowledge Love, Achieve Results, Create Miracles. What that means is really when we are in our heart and we truly acknowledge love, we're not in our minds and we're not in our emotions. And only when we step into ourselves in those moments of gratitude and love, we can be present with every human being without our mind going and analyzing who this person is. And the more we create that presence in ourselves, the more we can raise our vibration. Now that alarm also, it's about understanding how our physiology of the body works, how our mind works, how our emotion works, how decision making works, how our value system plays tremendous part when we actually rise up as leaders, or when we communicate, or what we do, or whether we procrastinate, and how people in teams can actually, some people be extremely inspired, others don't. So the alarm has a 25-step method that I actually teach my clients to go deeper. It's designed for a much deeper work for anybody who designs and wishes that kind of work, to really expand your consciousness and expand your aura, expand your awareness, expand your influence, and expand your leadership abilities. And to answer your questions about what leadership for me leadership is that inner awareness that in any moment, in any time, you become present. And with that presence, then you are able to act and react, and able to consciously be aware where you need to be, front or backwards, or how you can respond with any human being in any situation, mindfully and with your heart. So when you create that silence in your mind, you respond from your heart. So for me, leadership is about that deeper inner awareness to be able to lead from that space of centering and awareness. So thank you.